Hey everybody, Dr. Rick Wallace dropping in here. Hope that you guys are having an awesome day. Keeping my promise to myself, self-care, headed to the gym on a mission. Excited about what's coming out of that. I am going to follow up on a post that I shared across social media platforms based on some questions that people posed to me concerning Nick Cannon and his reconciliation with ViacomCBS, and getting back on to his intellectual property and creation, which Viacom held the rights to while and out. The questions are real simple. Do I consider Nick a sellout? Do I believe that Viacom has broken him? The term that was actually used is a term that I don't too much personally like to use because I think it mars the ability to communicate, because people start blocking out things that make them uncomfortable. But butt breaking, it's a realistic reality. Being a little redundant there, but it's a realistic reality in that it exists. But when you talk about it that way, people tend to want to shut the conversation down and not hear what's said. So I try to create conversations based off of a vernacular that is representative of the same truth without the abruptness. Now, there are times when you just have to be point blank and sincere with it, and so then you start to talk about it in a different light, and I do that as well. But the question is, did Viacom break him, and is he a sellout? And I wish it was a simple answer. For some people who consider themselves to be a part of the black community, it may be to them a simple answer. To me, not so much. Do I think that he has been broken to a certain extent? Absolutely. He met his threshold, and I have said this on more than one occasion. Anytime your threshold is short of death, you will meet it and you will succumb to it, and people will be aware of it, because normally this happens in an open environment. You sit up and you make a declaration based off of where you are at the time, how you feel about something. And at that time, you mean it until it's time to actually stand up to it and live it. And then you'll realize just how far you've put yourself in that rabbit hole, and you start trying to climb yourself out. Very few people in our history have been at a level where there was absolutely nothing that was going to turn them around. And so to expect Nick Cannon, because he has a platform and he has a way with words and his spoken word and his raps and all the stuff that he says, to expect him to be the representation of true full revolution was a fallacy on our part. Nick Cannon is a young man that knows a lot, has done a lot of research, and is aware of things, and is willing to vocally say things. And to a certain extent, he went to the mat taking some losses. But when he met this final loss, they were taking his intellectual property, something he had created, something worth millions upon millions of dollars that he would not be able to partake in. So he was being asked by those he spoke for, which we have to be careful about who we allow to represent us or say that they're our voice, because that comes with a great responsibility. But what he did is he realized that he had spoken beyond his threshold, that he had committed himself beyond his threshold. What was his threshold? He was not ready to sacrifice his financial well-being and the future financial well-being of his progeny. You know, he's in a situation where what he is achieving in the way of capitalism, entertainment, and general social status in America is going to guarantee a certain level of wealth to his progeny. And if it's managed well for quite some time, generation after generation, barring the total collapse of a global economy. He's done that. what he realizes is by speaking out against the system that allowed him to do it, he has limited his ability to continue to do so and put himself at jeopardy for long-term financial legitimacy, excuse me. So he decides, wait a minute, let me rethink this. And I saw it months ago when he immediately started backtracking after the pressure and met with a rabbi who came in with a bunch of BS and basically pointed out all the things Nick had done, did not acknowledge anything that the Jews had done, and made it seem like it was an unjustifiable assault on Jews. The truth is, what Nick had said was true. Did he choose his words wrong if he meant to remain where he was? Absolutely. He spoke as someone who didn't care how things panned out. He was telling the truth, and that's what it was. But see, he wasn't built for that life, and I'm not holding him responsible for that. Very few are. My concern is that we too easily and readily give celebrities certain statuses within our struggle that they don't deserve or they're not prepared for, solely because they have the visibility, exposure, and the platform. It's not the platform that makes you a leader, it's the commitment to the cause. And as I stated in my written post, what we need right now is more leaders in the home, not in front of the video camera. What are you doing in your home specifically? I wouldn't even waste my time being in front of you if I wasn't leading in my home. If I wasn't fighting for the well-being of my children, if I wasn't feeding them the information they need to be better at this than I am, if I wasn't providing them with a certain level of cover so that they can be who they are and what they desire to be without the fear of being crushed under this system. That's where leadership needs to be expressed first and foremost. I'm not saying that people can't be visible and out there, but very few are built for that. The pressure that comes when you openly criticize certain people and certain groups, and it's not just simply a Semitic issue. I'm talking about you can't criticize members of the LGBTQ community now without feeling pressure. You cannot criticize certain women's groups without feeling pressure. You have to be truly committed to tell the truth without fear of consequence and result and ramification. You have to be really truly committed to that, because the truth is the pressure that you receive will crush the average person. So now here's the second part of the question that was posed to me. Did they break him? Not completely. They broke him to the point that he realized he needed to come back. What they're going to do now is use his people, black people, us, as the final force that completely breaks him. By the time blacks get through dragging him for backtracking and showing him that the people he was speaking on behalf of has absolutely no loyalty to him, they have nothing to offer him in way of material wealth, because they don't know how to unify and collectively come together to provide platforms for certain people. So he absolutely is going to sit up and watch what's happening, and he will never get out of line again, because the very ones he called himself acting on behalf of will be the final blow to what crushes him and puts him in his place. He will go on and probably have a successful career. He'll probably go on because he's very creative and create some other things and become extremely wealthy. And even though Dave Chappelle has said he's not a voice for the black struggle and he's not a black leader, and I applaud him for that, there's a big difference between Nick Cannon and Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle walked away from it all with no guarantee he'll never be able to walk back and claim it. He doesn't even have the rights to his own likeness, image, and name, but walked away from it, had to do everything and start from scratch, and he still came out with that George Floyd thing and did that unique little setup. I don't know if you saw it, but and completely talked about that however many minutes and seconds it was, that officer had his knee on George Floyd's neck. He talked about that. He talked about it in a very unapologetically transparent way, and didn't care how the chips fell. And I don't know how long he'll stand up to that, but I know everybody else who tried to do that took hard blows and never truly recovered. Eartha Kitt, Nia Simone, Sam Cooke died. And you can say what it was about, but whatever. Sam Cooke was financing the Black Panther and the Black Nationalist Panther. The Black Nationalist Party and the Black Panther Party. Jimi Hendrix, supposed overdose. Just happened to be after he declared he would be supporting the Black Panther Party. And I can go on with some others. Billie Holiday, when she really needed services, from what I understand and what I've been able to read directly from J. Edgar Hoover, she was not allowed to have any medical attention from doctors in the hospital. She died. And I can go on and on. The point that I'm making here is this. I never looked at Nick Cannon as being a leader in the black community. I looked at him as one person with a voice. And there are a lot of voices out there. And we'll never really truly know how committed most of them are, because they'll never ever step out beyond what's comfortable and what they know won't produce any kickback. Do what you do. But be very careful as a people in labeling someone a leader or a representation of your struggle without knowing just how committed they are. Find the people you know you can put your hand on. Those won't be the ones with the biggest platforms. Normally the ones with the biggest platforms have those platforms because those who have the power to provide them are not afraid of them. Just something that you should be thinking about. I am going to get off. I just arrived at the gym. I'm about to get out and go do my thing. But I just had to touch on that. We have to do a better job of being aware of how things work. We have to do a better job of being aware of what truly stands for and matters in the way of true power. We talk a good game, most of us, but at some point we're going to have to show up. And that's where the problem lies. Most of us are not going to show up. On that note, look, I'm going to get ready to get out of here. You guys have a great day, and I will talk to you guys later.